Have you ever like taken the IQ test or just read about this Monty
Yeah, yeah,
Hall problem? So you have, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So my question to you is how quickly were you able to grasp the solution to the Monty Hall problem? Now, okay, so a lot of people listening won't know what it is. The Monty Hall problem is this is it always on IQ test? No, it's not. It's just more
No,
of a
no.
brain teaser. It's a brain teaser.
Yeah,
That
it's
would be accurate
common.
to say.
Yeah, it's a common problem that they'll introduce in a beginner probability class.
Right. And but the interesting part about it is when it was first introduced, there was wide disagreement on this topic.
Hmm.
The Monty Hall problem refers to, let's say you're on a game show and there were three doors, and they told you there's a car or prize behind one door, and there's nothing or a goat behind the other two doors, and they asked you to choose one, and you chose that one. But before opening any of the doors, the game show host with one of the other two doors opened one of the other two doors and revealed nothing, a goat or nothing. And then so there's only two doors left. You chose one. Of the other two that were left, he revealed that there's nothing behind one of them. And he asked you, do you want to switch from your original choice to the other option, which is there's only two doors left now. So there's only two doors. Do you want to stay or do you want to switch? And the question is, will you improve your chances of winning by staying or switching, or does it make no difference? And a lot of people, the vast majority of people, when this was posed, and even now probably, would say it makes no difference. When you first chose the door, you had a 1 in 3 chance of winning, right? Everybody will agree on that. And when he posed the question, you still have a 1 in 3 chance of winning. And if you switched, that final door will also have a 1 in 3 chance of winning. But in actuality, that's incorrect. The final door has a 66% chance of winning. And it's not intuitive to people that this is correct. But if you do, math proofs and things like that, then it will become clear that yes, you are behooved to switch. You will have a higher chance of winning if you switch at that point. And my question to you is, how quickly did you understand that? Or did you get it right away? Like when that question was posed?
I think I got it fairly quickly. Not super quickly, but fairly quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I'm thinking about it right now, and I think the easiest way, there's a couple of ways to understand why switching might be better. So I think the easiest way to explain it is, okay, you first consider that when you're picking the door, you have a 1/3 chance of being correct and a 2/3 chance of being wrong, right? So in other words, there's a 1/3 chance you're going to pick the door with the car. And there's a 2 out of 3 chance that you're going to pick a door with the goat, right?
Right.
But what happens is that, so let's assume that you've fallen in, you pick a door and then you've fallen into one of the 2 out of 3 case where basically you're wrong, right? You picked a door with a goat, right? In those cases, the host will always open one of the remaining doors to reveal the goat, right? To reveal the
Correct,
other
correct,
goat,
correct,
the other
correct.
goat.
I,
And
I
then
mean,
when you switch, you will get
right, right,
the
right.
car. So basically, what it does is switching
You go from one
your
third to two
selection.
thirds. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
it basically
obvious, like when you think about it. But
yeah, it turns all the basically the 2/3 losing cases into a winning case. Basically, is what it
right.
does.
So when I first encountered it, the person who proved that this was the case had to do it using mathematical proofs, right?
Hmm.
That's not how I did it because I'm bad at math. Like I'm the rare Asian who's actually bad at math. But it was so obvious to me, and I'm not trying to brag or anything. But it was obvious to me that okay, you had a 1 in 3 chance of winning, right? And then the host essentially he took the 2/3 chance group, right? And he made that one choice for you, right? Like so you could switch from the 1 in 3 chance to the 2 in 3 chance just by switching. Because he would never open your door, correct? He would never open your door and say, "Oh, there's a goat behind it," or "There's nothing behind it." So therefore, he opened a door to give you just a 2 in 3 chance of winning. That's just the way I conceptualized it. It was very, very obvious to me in that case. But the interesting part of the Monty Hall question, besides, okay, if you still don't get it, I'm sorry.
There, there's
This is
another
it is.
there, there's another explanation that makes it kind of obvious, but the analogy isn't perfect, which
Mhm.
is where if you make the problem go up to 100 doors with one prize and 99 losers or goats or whatever, and you pick a door, right? And then the
Right.
host then
Oh,
opens
eliminates 98.
98 of the other doors,
Right, right,
and
right.
then there's leaving one door left, and it's like, do you switch? It's like
Right,
you
right,
pick
right, right.
door number 7, and then he opens all the other doors except door number 42, right?
Right.
And,
It
and then
makes it
it's like,
obvious that it probably is door number 42.
yeah, it's like, do you switch
Right.
to door number 42 or
Right.
stay on your 7? You're
I
like,
think that's a good way of describing it to, I'm not saying to say stupid people, but, people of lesser intelligence. It's pretty obvious that, yeah, it's probably door number 42 then.
yeah,
Why would it be the one that you picked when you had 100 options?
right, right.
It's probably the one that's left after he's eliminated 98, right? Or
Yeah, yeah,
97 of them,
yeah,
right? Or yeah, 98.
yeah.
So, but the interesting thing about the Monty Hall question is, and this is instructive for today. It's not just us bragging that we get the Monty Hall problem. Okay, we're not just doing that. Although, yeah, it's good that we got it.
By the way, there's some variation of the Monty Hall problem that I don't remember what it is. Or maybe I'll, if I find
Well,
it,
here's the
I'll
other thing.
link it.
I've
But
talked to
it's a much
people
harder problem.
I've talked to people, friends of mine, who, after I've talked to them for 20, 30 minutes, they still don't get it. And that is, I wouldn't say embarrassing. I just think if you ever want to know which of your friends are intelligent and which are not, then just talk to them about the Monty Hall problem.
I
I
don't
think
think it's
that,
that simple. I don't think it's that simple, but
you don't think the problem is simple,
I do feel like there are people that would be intelligent, but maybe
but don't get it?
just don't get this.
Well, true. I mean, and to your point, sort of to your point, when the Monty Hall problem was first discussed in some journal or something, this had to be in the 70s or so, early 80s, because this is when the game show, the Monty Hall show, was on. Most people didn't agree with the correct answer. Most people said switching makes no difference because you still have a 1 in 3 chance. And when I say most people, I mean a ton of people with PhDs, a ton of people with doctorates. And this was back then, so I would like to assume that these PhDs were worth a little bit more on average than the PhDs you have today. So you would assume it's fairly educated people who just, they looked at it and they dogmatically said, nope, switching makes no difference. Switching is just still a 1 in 3 chance. I think the lesson to take from this, though, is that, and this is why I bring it up, the lesson to take from this is that those people with letters in front of their name, those people who are educated, those people who are, quote unquote, your betters, they don't always know what the fuck they're talking about. Do they? The vast majority didn't agree with the correct answer in the Monty Hall problem. And I look at that problem as if it's kind of simple, to be honest with you. I look at it that way, at least. And today, educated people, intelligent people, they all agree on the right answer. Of course, they've all looked the math proofs. They understand the lot. Yeah. But when it first came up, educated people didn't agree. The vast majority of them said that there's no benefit to switching. So whenever there are new tests that come up, and this goes straight back to, what is it? It's obvious what it goes straight back to, the pandemic, right?
Yep.
You have a lot of people with letters in front of their names telling you stuff, telling you things with great conviction that they're right, you're wrong, don't question them, you're a moron. My message to you is that do not assume you're a moron. Use your own brain. Think through the problem yourself, because sometimes it's a Monty Hall situation where these people with letters in front of them, they have the fancy education. It doesn't always mean they're right. It doesn't always mean they're right. So just think for yourself.
Yeah, I
This
think
is a great example of that.
yeah, it's a pretty good analogy. It's been, the past couple of years since the pandemic, it's just been very eye-opening for me to watch a lot of people that I consider, to be very smart saying things that were eventually shown to be totally incorrect.
You have people who are
Yeah.
smart. You don't get through medical school without being smart. And yet, we had a bunch of people who got through medical school who told us stuff like, if you're going to riot during the summer of love, don't worry about COVID because I don't know, racism is a much bigger threat than COVID. They tell you stupid shit like that, right? It's just a reminder that people are people. Some people, even when smart, will think the wrong thing, will really vehemently get behind the wrong idea, will tell you BS straight to your face, either because they're emotionally invested in something or financially invested in something or just plain wrong for whatever reason. Because you know what? Human beings are wrong. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how many letters you have in front of your name. You can be wrong. And here's another thing that I really want to point out. when you argued against the conventional wisdom for the past 2 years about the pandemic, about COVID, about vaccines, et cetera, people would often say like, well, why do 80% of doctors, 80% of PhDs think this way? Well, I just want you to know that a good 80 to 90% of PhDs who weighed in on the Monty Hall problem, they were wrong. What does that
Wasn't
tell you?
there actually like a high IQ person that first or was that the original when it came out? There was like some woman who's extremely high IQ who
Right, some
responded.
woman was right, and she had a very
Yeah,
high IQ. That's correct. And she
right.
explained why she thought it was the case that you should switch for sure. And tons of people, maybe 80 to 90% of people with PhDs, wrote in and said, no, she's wrong. People are people, even the smartest ones, they're all people, and people are sometimes wrong, right? I would say often, but no, maybe not often, at least sometimes. Just keep that in mind. Now, will I say that, oh, it doesn't mean anything if the vast majority of doctorates disagree with you? No, I won't say it's irrelevant. Of course, it's relevant. Most likely, it means that they're right and you're wrong. Okay.
Yep.
They are better educated. I mean, when I say you, I mean, general you. Specifically, maybe there's PhDs listening to us, but in general, they're probably right, but they're not right. They're not God. So the idea that you should not question them is so wrong. It is anathema to the notion of free thought, to the notion of scientific thinking. Scientific thinking is a matter of always questioning. It has never been a matter of accepting what your superiors think. That is not science. That is not what intelligent people do. That is not how the human race is pushed forward. The human race is pushed forward by questioning, not by accepting dogma.